It was just another morning at the small-town clinic, until two tiny puppies appeared dragging a black plastic bag across the wet pavement. Their fur was soaked, their eyes full of desperation. They didn't bark or run. They simply sat by the door as if begging the doctor to help. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning was gray and quiet, the kind of silence that makes every small sound echo. Inside the clinic, Dr. Harris was finishing paperwork when he heard a faint scratching at the door. At first, he thought it was the wind, until a soft whimper followed. He looked up, frowning, and stepped closer to the glass. Outside, two tiny puppies stood in the drizzle, their fur soaked and matted, their little bodies trembling. Between them, they struggled to drag a black plastic bag that looked almost as big as they were. Every few steps, one would stop to catch its breath while the other nudged the bag forward with its nose. Dr. Harris froze, heart twisting. They weren't strays looking for food. Their eyes held something else. It was as if they were pleading, begging him to notice, begging him to help. Dr. Harris grabbed his coat and hurried outside, his shoes splashing through puddles as the drizzle turned into a steady rain. The moment he opened the door, the puppies looked up at him, wide, desperate eyes shining beneath dripping fur. They didn't run. Instead, one of them placed a tiny paw on the black bag as if guarding it. "Hey, it's okay," he whispered, kneeling beside them. "You're safe now." The smaller puppy let out a soft whine and pushed the bag closer to him. Dr. Harris hesitated before gently lifting it. It was heavier than he expected. Whatever was inside wasn't just trash. He carried it inside, the puppies following close behind, their tails low, their paws leaving wet prints across the tiled floor. His assistant, Mia, looked up in surprise. "Where did they come from?" she asked. "I don't know," he replied quietly, setting the bag on the table. "But they're trying to tell us something." He looked down at the trembling animals, his heart tightening. This wasn't abandonment. This was a cry for help. Dr. Harris carefully untied the black plastic bag, his fingers trembling slightly. The room was silent except for the soft dripping of water from the puppy's fur. As the knot loosened, a faint smell of damp fabric filled the air. He peeled the bag open slowly, expecting to find spoiled food or trash. But what he saw stopped him cold. Inside lay a small folded blanket, old but clean, the kind that people wrap around something precious. Beneath it were a few torn clothes, a broken leash, and an envelope. The paper was slightly wet, but the handwriting on the front was still visible. It simply read, "For you." The puppies whimpered the moment he touched it, their tiny bodies pressing against his legs. Dr. Harris swallowed hard. Whoever left this bag behind hadn't done it carelessly. He glanced at the pups again. They looked recently cared for, their collars soft and clean. Someone had loved them once. Someone who, for reasons he couldn't yet understand, had trusted him with whatever secret this bag held. And somehow, he knew, this was only the beginning. Dr. Harris placed the envelope gently on his desk but didn't open it yet. Something about it felt personal, almost sacred. He turned to Mia. "Check the security cameras," he said softly. "I want to see who brought them here." Minutes later, grainy footage flickered across the screen. The early dawn light was gray and cold. A shadowy figure appeared at the edge of the parking lot, moving slowly, carrying the same black bag. The person set it down near the gate, knelt for a moment, and patted the puppies' heads. Then they walked away. The puppies chased after them for a few steps before stopping, watching as the figure disappeared into the fog. Dr. Harris leaned closer, freezing the frame. The person's shoulders were slumped, their movements heavy, not someone abandoning out of cruelty, but out of heartbreak. He turned toward the puppies, who now sat quietly by the heater, eyes fixed on him. The bag, the letter, the look in their eyes. It all meant something deeper. Whoever that person was, they hadn't given up on these animals. They'd brought them to the only place that could save them. The clinic was quiet again. The only sound the soft hum of the heater and the steady rhythm of rain tapping against the window. The puppies slept curled together on a blanket, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect sync. Dr. Harris sat across from them, the unopened letter resting in his palm. He couldn't stop thinking about the person in that blurry footage. The way they paused before leaving, the gentle pat on each puppy's head, it wasn't the act of someone heartless. It was the goodbye of someone breaking inside. His eyes fell on the contents of the bag again, the blanket stitched with faded initials, the carefully folded clothes. Each detail told a story of care, of love that had been forced to surrender. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Whoever you are," he murmured, "you didn't abandon them. You trusted me." The words echoed in the still room, heavy with unspoken emotion. Dr. Harris finally picked up the letter, hesitating for a brief moment. Then with a deep breath he began to open it. Dr. Harris unfolded the damp letter with trembling fingers. The paper was creased and slightly smudged. The ink faded in places. But the words were clear enough to break his heart. "Please save them. I lost everything, my home, my job. I can't feed them anymore. I trust you'll give them a better life." He read the lines twice, then a third time, his throat tightening. The handwriting was shaky, uneven, written by someone who had cried while holding the pen. He sank back in his chair, the letter resting on his lap. So that was it. These puppies weren't abandoned out of cruelty. They were loved. Loved so much that their owner had made the most painful choice possible. Outside, thunder rolled faintly in the distance. The puppies stirred, sensing his emotion, and one climbed onto his shoe, gazing up at him with trusting eyes. Dr. Harris bent down, voice breaking as he whispered, "You're safe now." I promise at that moment he understood. The note wasn't just a plea for help. It was an act of love, written by someone who had nothing left, except hope. Weeks passed, and the tiny puppies no longer trembled when strangers approached. Their fur had grown soft and glossy, their tails wagging freely as they played in the clinic yard. Dr. Harris watched them from the doorway, a quiet smile touching his face. The story had spread quickly. 2 puppies dragged a bag to beg a vet for help. People from nearby towns sent food, toys, and donations to the clinic. A kind family soon adopted the pair, promising to keep them together forever. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Dr. Harris sat alone in his office, the letter framed beside his desk. He often wondered where the unknown owner was now, whether they knew their sacrifice had saved 2 lives. Outside, the puppies barked joyfully, chasing butterflies across the grass. And for the first time in weeks, the world felt peaceful again. Sometimes love means letting go. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, heartwarming stories of hope and compassion.